Good day, everyone. I am Hannah Y. Barot, and today I will discuss about disaster preparedness and risk management, which is more focused on school disaster risk reduction and management, emergency responses, and contingency planning. So let's begin. First, let's define what is disaster risk reduction and management. It is the process of reducing the risk and impact of disasters through preparedness, prevention, response, and recovery. It involves actions to protect lives, property, and the environment by lessening vulnerabilities, increasing capacities, and avoiding hazards when possible. According to Guy Elena, the Director of Health and Education of International Finance Corporation, planning for natural disasters and emergencies is something every educational institution must consider, regardless of its size or location. It is not possible to plan for every eventuality that might occur. However, preparation is the key to saving lives if a disaster strikes. This is true because being prepared for disasters is very important in schools because it helps keep everyone safe. Even though we cannot predict every situation that might happen, having a plan makes a big difference. Schools are not only centers for learning, but also safe spaces where children, teachers, and staff must be protected from harm. However, schools remain vulnerable to natural disasters such as typhoons, earthquakes, and floods, as well as human induced crises like fires or accidents. To ensure safety and continuity of education, the Department of Education mandates all schools to implement disaster risk reduction and management programs. Guided by DepEd Order Number 55 Series of 2007, which is the Philippine DRRM Act of 2010, otherwise known as RA 10121, and DepEd Order Number 21 Series of 2015. DRRM ensures that the school community is prepared, responsive, and resilient before, during, and after emergencies. So, what is School Disaster Risk Reduction and Management, or SDRRM? It is a systematic approach to identifying, assessing, and reducing risk associated with disasters, ensuring that schools are equipped to protect life, property, and learning continuity. In here, you can see the comprehensive DRM in basic education framework. The implementation of DRM in basic education is guided by DepEd's three major outcomes, which are access, quality, and governance. These set the program and policy development agenda of the agency. As a member of the National DRM Council, the department is also committed to implement DRM in basic education within the following thematic areas: 1. Prevention and mitigation; 2nd, preparedness; 3rd, response; and the last is recovery and rehabilitation. With the issuance of DO 37 series of 2015, the framework is expected to guide schools in assessing, planning, and implementing their specific prevention and mitigation, preparedness, response and recovery, and rehabilitation interventions as expressed in the following. So, we also have these three pillars which form the basis on the conduct of risk assessment, which are incorporated in the education development plans of the regions, divisions, as well as the school improvement plans. These three pillars will be tackled in the next sections. Here are the four thematic areas. First, Prevention and mitigation, which is focused on reducing vulnerabilities and strengthens resilience before disasters occur. We also have preparedness, which focuses on readiness measures before a hazard strikes, and response, which involves immediate actions taken during or right after a disaster to save lives. And last is recovery and rehabilitation, which focuses on restoring normalcy and rebuilding after the crisis. So, the comprehensive DRRM in basic education framework seeks to number one, protect learners and education workers from death, injury, and harm in schools. Second, plan for educational continuity in the face of expected hazards and threats. Three, safeguard education sector investments. Number four, strengthen risk reduction and resilience through education. The creation and upgrading of the DRRM service in DepEd institutionalized DRRM within the basic education system. Plantilla positions for DRRM coordinators were created from national to division level offices to fully integrate DRM policies and programs at all levels. Coordination and information management protocols, as well as roles and responsibilities, have been defined from school to regional levels to ensure coherence with the already existing structures and legal basis. So, based on DO21 series of 2015, the SDRRM team will undertake the following. Number one, ensure the establishment of an early warning system such as bulletin board for weather advisories, bell or siren for emergency signal, and the like. Second, conduct an annual student led risk identification and mapping within and around the school premises to ensure a safe environment that is conducive to teaching and learning. Third, maintain close coordination with the local DRM Council on the conduct of preparedness activities on the response needs, among others. And fourth, provide capacity building activities for teachers, non teaching staff, and learners on DRRM. The SDRRM will also undertake the following. Number 5. Maintain, disseminate, and post relevant and updated emergency hotlines in strategic locations throughout the school. 6. Post safety and preparedness measures and evacuation plans. 7. Conduct disaster preparedness measures, including but not limited to quarterly multi-hazard drills applicable to the school's identified hazard such as earthquake, fire, and flood. Number 8, maintain the safekeeping of vital school records and learning materials. Number 9, organize school DRRM team to support the implementation of preparedness and response measures. 10, ensure the availability of updated baseline education data of the school. 11, integrate DRRM in regular school programs and activities and school improvement plan or SIP. 12. Pre-identify possible temporary learning spaces or TLS and alternative delivery modes of education. 13. Monitor the effects of hazards including the use of the school as evacuation center. And 14. Track all school personnel during disasters and or emergencies. 15. Prepare and submit reports on the effects of any hazard. 16. Ensure the implementation of DepEd Order Number 43 Series of 2012 or the guidelines on the implementation of Executive Order Number 66 Series of 2012. 17. conduct rapid assessment of damages after every hazard, and submit within 72 hours via SMS. 18. Facilitate immediate resumption of classes to track learners. And last, number 19, monitor recovery and rehabilitation interventions being implemented in the school. The comprehensive DRM framework in basic education is built on three pillars, which are safe learning facilities, school disaster management, and disaster risk reduction in education. These three pillars guide schools through the school improvement plan's phases of assess, plan, and act, ensuring safe and resilient learning environments. Let's take a closer look at each pillar. Now, let's have the first pillar, which is the safe learning facilities. This pillar focuses on the physical infrastructure and related facilities of schools, including the creation of temporary learning spaces for use during disasters or emergencies. It involves the collaboration of education authorities, architects, engineers, builders, and the school community to ensure safe site selection, design, construction, and maintenance of school buildings. The goal is to guarantee the safety and continuity of learning by providing secure and accessible school facilities. Now, let's define what is a conducive and safe learning environment. So, we have here some indicators of education facilities that are conducive to the physical well being of learners. So, a conducive and safe learning environment ensures the physical well being of both teachers and learners by providing accessible, well designed, and properly maintained facilities. It includes adequate space for learning, recreation, and sanitation, with class sizes and seating arrangements that support participatory and learner centered approaches. The environment should have clear boundaries and signs, promote health and hygiene, and offer sufficient water and sanitation facilities that consider age, gender, and special needs. Community involvement in school construction and maintenance also contributes to sustaining a safe and supportive educational setting. We also have here some indicators of learning environments that are secure and promote the protection and mental and emotional well being of learners. A secure learning environment promotes the safety, protection, and emotional well being of learners by ensuring schools are located near communities with safe access routes. It is free from hazards and supported by training programs that enhance safety and psychosocial support for learners. Community involvement in planning and decision making, along with attention to learners' nutrition and hunger needs, helps create a safe, supportive, and nurturing space for effective learning. Let's move to the second pillar, which is the school disaster management. This pillar focuses on establishing organizational support structures for disaster risk reduction and management, or DRM, within the Department of Education, including the creation of DRM services and the designation of DRM coordinators in all regional and division offices. It also involves developing systems, processes, and standards to effectively implement the four thematic areas of DRM in the context of basic education. Under the school disaster management is first we have leadership and coordination. Leadership and coordination in school DRM emphasize that ensuring school safety is a shared responsibility. of the entire community, led by the school head or administrator. Teachers, non teaching staff, students, parents, and community members must actively participate with DRM integrated into management strategies at all levels of the education sector. To achieve this, a school DRM team should be organized to implement, monitor, and report initiatives to the school management. The team promotes preparedness, leads mitigation activities, conducts multi hazard drills, and evaluates outcomes for continuous improvement. Ideally, it also maintains formal coordination with local disaster management authorities. Also, part of Pillar 2 is the information management. School administrators must be equipped to handle information during all phases of a disaster, as proper information management can save lives, prevent panic, and enhance coordination among the school community, agencies, and organizations. Here are the Information Management Protocol and Information Management Guide questions. It is really important that schools must ensure information comes from reliable sources, is relevant and timely, and is handled securely by designated custodians. Proper dissemination considers who should receive the information, when it should be shared, and how it should be delivered to ensure effective response and coordination. Also, part of Pillar 2 is the school and community stakeholders' engagement and participation. School and community stakeholders' engagement and participation are crucial in school disaster management because they ensure that disaster preparedness and response efforts are inclusive, relevant, and effective. Engaging school and community stakeholders in disaster management ensures plans are relevant, inclusive, and effective. It promotes shared responsibility, builds local capacity, and helps students and community to prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies. Next, we have the student led activities, which is also part of Pillar 2 School Disaster Management. It is important for students to have ownership and understanding of SDRRM. School DRR activities are maximized when students know firsthand what makes their school unsafe and how to make and keep their schools safe. When conducting DRM activities with students, make sure that they understand the value of the activity. As their teachers, we must make sure they understand that these activities can save their own lives and even the lives of others. Next, the staff training support, which is also part of Pillar 2. Staff training support is important in school disaster management because it equips teachers and staff with the knowledge and skills to respond quickly and effectively during emergencies. Trained staff can ensure student safety, implement disaster plans correctly, provide first aid, and lead evacuation or recovery efforts, reducing risks and minimizing the impact of disasters on the school community. Still part of Pillar 2 is the Education Continuity Plan. The intensity and magnitude of hazards could affect normal school operations. As such, it is important for schools to have an education continuity plan. This includes identification of temporary learning spaces and resumption strategies and learning materials. Schools can also have alternative delivery mode of learning. An education continuity plan is essential in school disaster management because it ensures that learning can continue despite emergencies or disruptions. It helps schools quickly restore classes, protect students' education, and maintain routines, minimizing the negative impact of disasters on learning and supporting the overall resilience of the school community. Now we are down to our last pillar, which is the disaster risk reduction in education. This refers to the integration of DRRM in the formal and non formal school curricula and in extracurricular activities. It should also provide the necessary material support. This covers building the capacity and skills of learners and personnel, particularly teachers. DRRM integration in the K to 12 curriculum. This is part of Pillar 3 Disaster Risk Reduction in Education. Disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation are in the basic education curriculum from kindergarten to senior high school. DRR and CCA concepts are integrated and mainstreamed across several existing subjects. DRRM integration in the K 12 curriculum is needed to equip students with knowledge, skills, and awareness to prevent, prepare for, and respond to disasters. It fosters a culture of safety and resilience, helps students and teachers cope with the impacts of emergencies, and ensures that disaster preparedness becomes a regular part of learning and daily life. Co-curricular activities, which is part of Pillar 3 Disaster Risk Reduction in Education. The DepEd school calendar can be your guide in incorporating the DRR in your local activities. Events which may be relevant are the World Environment Day and Safe Kids Week, the National Disaster Consciousness Month, Clean and Green Month, and National Simultaneous Earthquake Drill. We also have Fire Prevention Month. So, as part of the SDRM team, adopt a DRM school calendar of activities to your local environment. Your school can take into account the results of risk assessment conducted by your school and or community. National Greening Program. This is part of Pillar 3 Disaster Risk Reduction in Education. DepEd Order Number 5 Series of 2014 provides us with guidelines in integrating the gulayan sa paaralan, ecological solid waste management, and tree growing and caring as key components to attain the goals of DepEd on food security, biodiversity conservation, and climate change mitigation and adaptation. The National Greening Program, when implemented in all the public schools of the Philippines, has the potential to become a massive DRR effort. More trees will absorb more pollution from the air and will prevent soil erosion. Fruit bearing trees, vegetables, and root crops will provide food security, and if grown in abundance, even extra income. As a prevention and mitigation strategy, strengthening of the National Greening Program implementation could make schools contribute to resilience building. A strong school DRRM, emergency response, and contingency plan ensure that schools remain safe and functional even in the face of disasters. Preparedness minimizes panic, saves lives, and supports the continuity of education. When every teacher, student, and staff member understands their role in safety, the school transforms into a community of preparedness and resilience. In order for us to sustain and strengthen school DRM efforts, the following ways forward are recommended. First, institutionalize DRRM in the School Improvement Plan or SIP. Embed DRM goals and activities as part of the school's annual planning and budgeting process. Second is the continuous capacity building, wherein we need to conduct regular seminars, drills, and workshops for teachers, learners, and non teaching staff on emergency preparedness and psychological first aid. Third, we need to strengthen partnerships and networking, wherein we need to collaborate with local government units, barangay officials, and private organizations for technical support, training, and resource sharing. Fourth, integrate DRM in the curriculum. Include DRM concepts and safety education across subject areas to build a culture of preparedness among learners. Fifth is to establish a school based early warning system. Utilize technology and community alerts to provide timely warnings during disasters. Sixth is regular plan evaluation and updating. This is where we need to review and revise DRM and contingency plans annually based on new risk, feedback, and post drill assessments. And the last is to promote a culture of safety and empathy. We need to encourage every stakeholder to see safety as a shared responsibility. Build a compassionate school environment where care, cooperation, and readiness are part of daily practice. So, to close, we need to be reminded that in the age of climate change and increasing uncertainty, disaster preparedness is not an option, it is a duty. A well prepared school ensures that even in times of crisis, learning continues, lives are protected, and hope remains alive. Thank you so much for listening.